It's a very high grade, very valuable material close to surface.
Hey, welcome back to the dive. Gold. The overall sentiment on the mining sector, drill hole completion, campaigns, and the administrative case updates are some of the topics that our guest will be deep diving into today, as well as timelines that investors should know as we head into the third quarter of the year. He is the CEO and director of Emerita Resources. David Gower is joining us today. Hey, David, welcome back to the dive.
Hi, Cassandra. Nice to speak with you again.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you back on. Okay, so let's jump right into it then. According to a chairman of a large gold producer that we interviewed recently, stagflation is a perfect storm for gold to reach new heights. Do you agree with this?
I do agree with the thesis in general. Inflation is going to devalue a lot of what we're used to, including our currencies, and by and large, gold generally is seen as a storehouse of value in that environment, and it's priced against those currencies, which by default means it will be worth more on a per dollar basis.
So, where do you see the price of gold going from here?
Oh, well, no, I don't have a crystal ball, but certainly a couple $100 higher is not a big stretch, I don't think.
Okay, so David, with continuing inflationary pressures, do you see a change in sentiment when speaking with institutional investors about the mining sector?
Not a big change, more of a confirmation of what they've seen, I think, in the last couple of years. So the market's in a bit of a pause, although it seems to be finding a bottom. But basically, the key commodities that they're focused on, the fundamentals are the same. There's still uh, a major energy transformation going on, and the metals required to accomplish that are we don't have anywhere near the supply required to meet any of these um, objectives that governments worldwide are laying out for the formats. So the broadly the metals market just has to be supported uh, in order to get anywhere close to those objectives.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of that. Okay, so let's move on and talk about Emerita. You announced assay results for the first drill hole completed at the Romanera deposit at your Iberian Belt West Project. Could you walk us through these results?
Sure. Yeah, we just had the first hole with assays. It was down about 135 meters. Surprised us a little bit actually in that it's very high grade in gold and also silver, which we have seen in the past. But 14.3 meters grading 7.6 grams per ton gold and 311 grams per ton silver with some decent base metal values in it. Um, the interesting thing about this deposit, and we did have a hint that the precious metals were understated by the previous work, is that the upper 200, 250 meters or so of the historical drilling never were assayed for gold. It was older drilling at a time when they were purely focused on base metals, and I believe the company that drilled it at the time, Asturiana de Zinc, may have been using their own assay lab and probably didn't have gold capability at that lab. So this is a very exciting uh, development for us in that it's a very high grade, very valuable material close to surface, but we also have a lot of it that's not assayed. So as we move through this 70,000 meter drill program, we obviously will be doing very systematic assaying, and we'll see where that takes us.
So, why did you choose to focus your drill program on the Roman era deposit over the El Cura?
So Alcura, Infanta, and Romanera are the three deposits on the property. The Romanera is by far the largest, almost 10 times the size of the other two as we know them today. So the economic prospects for this project really rest on the results of Romanera. That is the path to a development decision. The other two deposits will be fantastic kind of bolt-on brownfields expansions. Very valuable because Romanera will pay for all of the infrastructure. So there will be very low capital to exploit those two deposits as brownfields expansions. But basically, Romanera in itself will be one of the major deposits in the belt. We already know from the historical drilling there's about 34 million tons of massive sulfide that's been drilled, of which broadly about 11 million tons would meet underground grades. Notwithstanding, most of that did not have the gold assays, so it could get much larger even without just by if we had access to the old holes just by assaying. So that's already a resource where you could do a feasibility if necessary. Now, the Romanera is only drilled for about 450 meters, and the geophysics that we've done show it to probably extend to over a kilometer of strike length. It's only drilled to about 350 meters vertical, and the geophysics also extends it to depth. So this 70,000 meter drilling program that we're on, we've got 6 drills there now. We'll both expand it and confirm the resource. And please do keep in mind the numbers that I've given you predate NI 43-101. So they're not compliant, but they were drilled by major mining companies. So we feel fairly confident in the 50 holes that are there.
Okay, now, David, last month you announced that the Administrative Superior Court has agreed to withhold the resolution on the Aznalcollar case until the criminal court trial is resolved. What does this mean for the company? Could you give us an update?
Yeah, so there are 2 courts involved with that case. There's the criminal case, which deals with the actual crimes of corruption and the sentencing of the people involved, and the administrative court, which is a lower court. I'm not sure if lower is the correct way to describe it, but it defers to the criminal court at least. That manages the actual awarding of the public tender and the property. Under the law in Spain, if there's a commission of a crime in awarding a public tender, that bid must be disqualified, and it should come to the next highest bidder, and we were the only other bidder. So that's the premise for the case all along. Okay. The criminal court obviously is going to establish the crime, and what our lawyers were concerned with is if the administrative court ruled before the criminal court, they could possibly inadvertently create some ambiguity between the 2 courts, which would maybe open the criminal court up for potential appeals. By waiting for the criminal court, the administrative court has confirmed, in fact, the reason they're going to wait is that they view the cases as being essentially identical. The importance of that is that we already know what the criminal court thinks, because 5 judges from the criminal court have unanimously said that the other bid should have been declared illegal. And in fact, the basis for a lot of the corruption charges, are based on the fact that they allowed that bid to proceed and didn't disqualify it, knowing it was illegal. So long answer to say that we have more certainty in the outcome of the case now by virtue of the administrative court doing this. It may take a bit more time. We do expect a date for the criminal court imminently. Things are backed up over there because of COVID. The courts were shut down a lot in the last couple of years. But sometime, I would hope before the courts close down in August for the summer break, that we'll at least have a date for some time after that. But again, we don't control the courts, so when they issue the date, that's totally up to them. We don't have any control over that. So.
Okay, well, let's move on here. We have one last question for you. What are the key metrics or timelines that investors should be watching out for with Emerita as we head into the 3rd quarter of 2022?
Okay, well, we will have a wall of drill results coming from Romanera with 6 drills there. And we already know the outcome. A lot of that drilling will be very positive. We've also completed the airborne at the Nuevo Tintillo property, which is actually that very large property between Aznalcollar and Rio Tinto, which is the huge Rio Tinto deposit. We've just received those results, so we'll be going through that through the summer and likely drilling that in the fall. And then, of course, the outcome at Aznalcollar will be a huge day for us. I think even the date of the trial will provide some reaction. And with respect to Romanera, going back to that and the IBW project, our intention is to be in a position to be calculating the first NI 43-101 resource for that project around the end of the year.
Okay, well, lots to look forward to. Thank you so much for coming on and giving us the update, David.
Great. Thank you, Cassandra, and have a great day. And happy Canada Day to everybody.
Thanks, you too. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We'll be back again tomorrow with the latest news and updates. So be sure to stay tuned by hitting that notification bell above me there and subscribing below before you leave us. Bye.